to me, I think if I sucked, I might not do it, right? But at the end of the day, I have fun doing all of this. I enjoy building the engines. I enjoy pretty much every part of it other than washing the car. Some nights sucks, but if that's the only part I don't like about this, I think I'm doing pretty good. So I'm just thankful to be in a position to be able to do it and have great partners that help me.
Green flag in the air.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Hot Lapping with Landman. When I started with this idea of doing a podcast a couple years back, I thought, I'll talk to the winged sprint car guys and the super late model guys, especially the sprint car guys. That's my comfort zone. And I've had a lot of fun with that. But when I was at Eldora this last spring for the Let's Race 2 show, I happened across a non-wing guy that I thought I need to do a show with this guy. Now, a lot of you might know some of the bigger non-wing guys, Justin Grant, Robert Ballou, a lot of those other guys like that. But a guy named Trey Osborne caught my eye, and he had caught my eye just a little bit earlier in the winter when he won his first ever USAC national event down in Ocala. But he came to Eldora, and I'm going to just say, as a lower budget team, a one-man crew. And the first night he was there, had a really great run going, and just had some bad luck that went his way. But the way he went about himself that night, through the night, getting ready for the next day, and the next day I happened upon him and visited with him that day. I thought, you know what, I would really like to have Trey on my show. So this is a unique show. I'm going non-winging, and I'm going with Trey Osborne, otherwise known as Tall. He is now 6'8", used to be 6'9". Listen to the show and I'll tell you why. But just a great guy to have on the show. And I was really excited to finally find the time to get together, me and Trey, with our schedules and sit down and have a good conversation. I'm just going to put my old plug in there. If you like what I'm doing, hit the old share button, hit the follow button, hit the subscribe button, any of those things. Tell your friends about me. Word of mouth goes a long way too. Just out here trying to have a little bit of fun. So like I always say, let's not wait around any longer. Let's get Trey Osborne in here and talk to that guy. All right, everyone. So we have Trey Osborne that has joined us. And Trey, I just want to let you know, I just told my viewers in my opener a little bit, I'm stepping into uncharted territory with the non-wing guy here. I'm mainly a super late model and especially the sprint car world. But your story over the past, I'm going to say 6 months now, since Ocala down in Florida, has caught my eye. And then I ran across you at Eldora. I think it was Let's Race 2 and some intriguing stuff there. So thanks for coming on the show and being my first non-winger.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I guess I've ran, 2 wing races, and I'm from Ohio. So I grew up going to Atomic, and yeah, non-wing cars are still pretty new to me. So yeah, the wing stuff is definitely what I grew up around.
Yeah. So, and I want to just share with everybody a little bit too. Trey is basically, we could call it a professional race car driver right now, too, Trey. You're basically doing that as a living, doing some other stuff on the side. But talk about a big step this year for you.
Yeah, so last year during about this time frame, I didn't really work for about 2 months. My main sponsor, Industrial Hydraulics, that's also who I used to work for. And I'll still go in like 1 or 2 days a week, a couple times a month just to, help them get stuff done. It puts a little extra money in my pocket. I still don't own a house, right? I'm still young enough. I can work a little extra and because that's obviously a big step I want to make. And I've got a bunch of side hustle stuff, but yeah, like right now, the main thing I'm doing for money is racing, and I guess it's a dream come true. I don't know how else to say it. It's I've got great people that help me, and that's and then luckily we've been running pretty good this year, and recently we haven't been blowing up engines, so I've been doing pretty okay money wise recently, but that can all change in one weekend. It's just doing what I can to I guess keep it going.
It's pretty much a one-man band is what I would call you from what I've seen and learned. I see you, and I noticed I think your girlfriend was with you at Eldora Speedway back in May when we were out there for Let's Race 2, and I got an opportunity to meet you. It's got to be tough sometimes just knowing it's you, Mr. I'm going to call it car owner, driver, and crew chief going against some of the bigger teams, the Justin Grants, the Robert Ballows, all those guys out there that have some corporate money behind them and have crew members and have been doing this for a long time. Does that get intimidating for you, or is that something that just kind of lights your fire and makes you want to go that much harder?
I mean, to me, it's just kind of a part of it. Like I've had help before, and actually, right now, I have great help. His name's Matt, and he came over from Australia to help with the Bennett car, but then the Bennett car situation kind of fell apart with their driver, right? To where he needed someone to crew for. So out of nowhere on like a 3-day notice, I've got a crew guy for 3 months now. And Matt's been awesome. He washes the cars because he likes doing it, which I'm like I watched it the other day because I kinda wanted to do it again, but I'm normally not too thrilled about having to wash, right? It's not my favorite part about it, but I got very lucky with that. But yeah, for the most part, it's just me and then Alex, my girlfriend, and then, Ryan, I work with him at Industrial Hydraulics. He normally comes to every Friday, Saturday show in Indiana, and his girlfriend, Jada. But yeah, for the most part, it's just trying to find someone to push me off on the quad every night. But luckily, I've got that with Matt we still have 2 months left. We've been working together for a month now. And in that last month, we've ran really well. He's really been a huge part and an asset, I guess, to where I wish he'd just move here, but he's going to go back home and with his family eventually. But yeah, it's definitely opened me up that I really need more help. Uh, so yeah, it's been eye opening to me. But yeah, for the most part, I do a lot of the stuff myself, but I'd like help. It's just it's hard to find good help because if they are good, they want paid, and I can't pay them that much. Whereas they could go work for an Outlaws team, right, and make really good money. And it's just, yeah, it's just hard, And if they've got a normal job, which is pretty much what they have to have, if they're not going to, since I can't pay them, then they can't come to the Wednesday shows or, like this Friday, we're planning on going to Lakeside in Kansas. If someone worked a normal 9 to 5, there's just no way I could make that work. So, but luckily with Matt right now, that's not an issue. So for the next 2 months, I still have everything taken care of pretty well with that.
With that, I want to jump back to I knew a little bit about you and your nickname, Tall. And for those that don't know, tell me exactly, Trey, how tall are you exactly?
So I was 6'8", and then I broke my back and actually at Ocala, I believe 3 years ago now. And I got about 1 or 2 inches shorter from that. I broke 4 vertebrae, so it kind of squished me down. It made it where it's a little easier to fit in race cars now. But but yeah, I was 6'8".
So moving on to that, and that's just something I want everybody to know. It's kind of a unique thing that the nickname of Tall is definitely. There's no hiding anything there. It's just this is a tall cat that's getting in a sprint car every night. But we're at Eldora, and I heard about your. We're going to talk about your win at Ocala, I think is where it was
Yep.
here a little bit. But Eldora, you go there. Let's Race 2 weekend, and a whole bunch of winged outlaw cars there, and a whole bunch of USAC non-wing cars. And talk about a run that first night that was just crazy. I don't remember where you started, but walk us through that night, everything up until the very end, even.
Yeah, I believe we started like 13th or 15th. I've been struggling qualifying with the USAC after Florida, and so we didn't start great, but we had a really great heat race, and so I was feeling pretty good. But it was kind of one of those nights where I was like, if we run 10th, it was a great night, right? And I was planning on going to the wall pretty much immediately, but we started on the bottom and went through 1 and 2, and I think I picked off a few cars. Then 3 and 4, I picked off a few cars. So it's like, okay, I guess we'll just stay on the bottom for a while and kept playing with shock adjusters. And then all of a sudden, I was in second pretty early on in it. But then also on lap 7, I believe it was, the motor started to kind of fall apart on me. But all of the motors I have, I spent $11,000 on, and the race paid 12,000 to win. And at the time, I was catching the leader, and so I had decided screw it. We're just going to try to run this thing out. I know I'm going to hurt it, but if we win, I knew second was 6,000 and winning was 12. I was like, if I can stay here, even though I hurt a motor, it'd be a great night for points because at the time I was still running the full USAC thing. Uh, so yeah, I was just going to stay in it. And it kept getting worse and worse. And then finally off of turn 4, it blew up. And I think we ended up like 11th or something. But, and I've got it apart right over there. There's no piston anymore in cylinder number 8. So
Well,
It's
and I just
a
want to
bummer,
add a little
but
bit to the story, and you have to tell me if I'm correct on this or not, because I got an eye on this car, and then, I knew a little bit about you, but I didn't even know who it was, but the smoke starts billowing, and then I think we have a red flag with, like, just a couple to go, and you guys gotta sit there for a while, and were you still in 2nd at that time?
I think so. I may have fallen to 3rd or yeah, I think I was in 3rd at that point. Yeah, I believe I was in 3rd, but yeah, so and it was yeah, I had guys yelling at me at the infield, "This thing is smoking pretty bad," and I could actually, like, taste the smoke. It actually, funny enough, well, not funny, but, like, the few days after that race, I must have got like, infection or something in my mouth because I was, like, spitting up blood and stuff, and it was, like but also kinda the green color of the motor while I run.
Yeah.
So it was pretty nasty, but yeah, and it was kind of hard to breathe in there. But it's one of those things where when I decided that I was going to stay out there and keep running the thing, which was obviously the wrong call now, right? But you can't change it. Once I had decided that once you decide you're going to pretty much just hurt the thing, it's no sense in stopping, right? So I tried to stay out there, and it almost worked out. We were one corner short of probably a third place run. I think it would have been.
Yeah, you took the white flag in 3rd, and you never made it around in turn 4, and you were sitting in turn 4 when it came to a stop. I mean, just a
Yeah.
cruel, unusual punishment for a guy that wanted to give it his all. So the part and that was intriguing, I kinda heard about it, but I still hadn't realized it until I came back out to Eldora the next day, and I wanna say it was Jason Sides or somebody that would just kinda had been paying attention, said, "You guys basically spent the whole night out there changing motors, right at the racetrack." I think it was pouring down rain at certain points. I don't remember.
Yeah.
Share that part with me too.
Yeah, so just some more backstory. I run Mopar engines because for the price that they are a great engine, because no one wants to deal with them. So they're wider than a Chevy is, so they're kind of a pain to get in and out. And then also qualifying that first night, I had a handbrake on my injection, and when it did that, it hung the throttle like halfway open to where I qualified that way. But then we had to pull the injection off the spare motor to run the rest of the night. Well, then we blow up the motor that had the spare motor's injection on it. So we had to swap injections too and swap a couple other things over, like I believe a cam spud, because Mopars take a weird cam spud, and I had one cut to length. And anyways, so yeah, it wasn't just an in and out, 20-minute motor swap. Yeah, it was kind of a whole night thing. And every motor is kind of a little different for me. It's not like any of them really match. So, but yeah, no, we got it done. Thankfully, Ryan, the guy that normally helps me, he was there all weekend, and yeah, we stayed up pretty late and got it in. And I don't know. I think we ran like 11th the next night. It wasn't quite what we had speed wise the first night. That motor is actually what's in this car right now. Uh, Still, but it's only 400 cubic inches. It's not a 410, and I think the cam's pretty small on it. I bought it fresh, so I haven't really tore it apart yet. But it's yeah, it's not a powerhouse. It's probably not the best motor for Eldora, but all this local stuff around here, we run on bull rings mostly here in Indiana. It's been great. I really like it. So
The last thing that was intriguing to me, and you never know if what you're hearing is true or not. You guys actually slept in your trailer that night at Eldora that Friday night, just once you got
yeah,
done.
yeah, Alex and I, my girlfriend and I, we have hammocks, and then Ryan and his girlfriend Jada, they have a tent. So yeah, they slept in the tent, and they ended up getting pretty wet because where we park at Eldora, since we've got a small trailer, it flooded a little bit because we got a lot of rain, and they got a little wet, but so I felt kind of bad about that, but yeah, we slept in the trailer.
Well, just so you know, that was the story that really intrigued me because, I'm lucky enough I get to talk to, David Gravel and Bobby Pierce and the people that have come up through the ranks and have this huge following. And that's no discredit to you at all, but I just thought this is the kind of story and the kind of person that you are that people need to hear about because you've obviously got the talent and you're trying to build your name, obviously with goals to be a professional race car driver that like you already are, that has it, a little bit. easier. Is that a fair way of saying it?
Yeah, I mean, like to me, the camping part's kind of fun too, honestly, right? And it is for Ryan too. I don't think Alex or Jada were too thrilled about that, but yeah, like it's not the first time Ryan and I have done that. So, uh, and for us, it's not a big deal. It's like you're already at a dirt track. It's like Eldora has showers there, so that makes it a
Yeah.
lot easier and cleaner. So, so yeah, like I don't see that, as a big issue. So, we enjoy it. We enjoy doing it how we do it because it's just, we just kind of show up and have
Yep.
fun. And, most of the nights, if it's a local show, we can be in the top five pretty much every night. And the USAC shows, if we run 10th, it's a great night. And yeah, we'll just keep kind of, plugging our way, trying to get better. So,
I just absolutely love your attitude. It's so cool. And until people get out there and realize that's just, like I said, this is the greatest part of the story about you is as long as you can get to the racetrack and get some laps in and be competitive, that's your only goal. And that's what's so cool, I think, about your story. So take that as a compliment and kudos from me. I didn't, if it came off the other way, I did not mean that
uh,
at all. Probably get crucified in my comments about, I can't believe you asked him that. But it's just, long term goals, for everybody are different. And who knows where that is for you. But, I hope that you can succeed in moving forward as your deal progresses. That's for sure.
yeah, I mean, my life goal is to win the Indy 500, but there's a couple issues with that. Main issue being my height, let alone actually getting there and the money behind it and all that. Growing up, I really wanted to race NASCAR, so that's my realistic goal is to try to make it there. But at the end of the day, if I can make a living racing, anything, and I don't have to worry too much about putting food on my plate, right? Make a living racing. That's that and be competitive. I always want to be able to win races. That's yeah, that's the dream. So.
Yeah, and that's awesome. Tell me about going back to Ocala, USAC Speed Weeks down in Florida this year. And I want to say, was that your first ever national USAC, national event win with the
Yes.
non-wing
Yeah.
car? And tell us
Yeah.
a
I
little bit
think.
about that night and how that night went down for you.
Yeah, well, I think my previous best finish with USAC was 8th. So and I knew that we had the speed if we had a perfect night with a hammer down track and we start on the pole, I pretty much knew we could win. But that had to happen. And luckily that's exactly what happened. I mean, we qualified 6th, and with USAC's format, if you qualify 6th and you transfer out of your heat race, you automatically start on the pole of the feature. So that's what happened. And then we started on the pole of the feature, and I have my favorite motor in it. And that thing is, I don't know why, but it's just different. It's ancient, but I ran other guys' cars and stuff, and I never have had a motor that I like as much as this one. And yeah, that thing just it restarted awesome. It ran great the whole race. I did turn the gauges off about halfway because the radiator was so packed up with mud. It was at about 280. Blew the head gaskets on it that night, but that's okay. It was worth it because yeah, that was really special. Because that was also my girlfriend Alex. That whole week was her first like time actually watching racing in person. And I had told her like, look, realistically, we're probably not going to run great because I really have always struggled in Florida, and we qualified in the top 6 every night. We just had a great week. So yeah, that was really special. And then Jeff Hill Trailer Sales, probably my second biggest sponsor. He drove us down with his RV, and he really helped out with that. I don't think we could have done the whole week without him. We were just able to just keep, I guess, plugging away at it. And then with the RV at the track, we didn't have to deal with hotels or any of that. It just made it so much easier. Uh, and yeah, we just had a great week. And obviously being able to get that first win was really, really special. And something I'll always remember. And it is kind of cool that I can say that, at least once I did it with, a motor that I completely built, the car that I built, crew chiefing and driving it. That's not the way I'm going to win the most races. I don't want to always do it this way, but it's pretty cool. I was able to do that with, just what I built with my friends, right, with Ryan and everything, being able to do this. I wish he was here for that or there for that, but them being able to watch it on flow and everything, it was really special.
Yeah, and I remember that I think there was a pretty good crowd watching that event too, because I think it might have been one of the nights where there was nothing else going on. Because I remember I was
Yeah.
watching it too, and that's when I first remember the how tall this winged non-wing racer was, and then, like I said, putting that together with Eldora and all that, it's like, I just gotta get, Trey on my show here for sure, so Trey, what I like to do with a lot of my people is obviously we can talk about the here and now and what you've done over the last 6 8 months, which is great. But I'm always intrigued about what put the racing bug into Trey Osborne. How old were you? What got you interested? Was there any racing history in the family, or where did that start? When did you first realize that this going around in circles might be cool for you?
Yeah, so I didn't even know what sprint cars or midgets were till I was 12 years old. My dad drag raced growing up, but not really competitively. Basically, he just had a street car, that we'd go and blow the tires off of everywhere. And then what he bought me like a backyard go-kart when we were 4 or when I was 4, and from that, somehow, I don't even know the whole story, but we got hooked up with Larry Ebert, and then when I was 4, I also tested one of Larry Ebert's quarter midgets, and then when I was 7, I started racing quarter midgets with my dad, and Larry every once in a while, and I guess it just started from there, and then, when I was 12, somehow we ended up taking a trip over to Indiana, and I met Don Kenyon, and then, at the time, it was like $600 a night to rent a midget. I mean, it was the coolest deal ever, and we'd just show up and race, and I did that until I was 16, but at the end, it was kinda on and off just because of, money issues, and it was like pretty much that I needed to get a job if I wanted to keep doing this to be able to get a sprint car. So, yeah, I just got a sprint car, and then someone that I had met racing Kenyan midgets, Oz Osborne. We have the same last name, but we're not related, which is kind of funny. But he had asked me kind of what my plans were, and at the time, I had only ran a few sprint car races in my own stuff. But he had mentioned that I could move into his house and his shop, and rent would basically just be whatever I could pay him. So I said, "Okay, yeah, we'll do it." And, he's like, "Well, do you have a job lined up?" I said, "No." So then he got me a job too at Caterpillar, and I don't know how it all worked out, but everything just has always worked out perfectly for me somehow. And, I'm really thankful for that. But yeah, so he gave me a shot, basically to get to Indiana. And then from there, yeah, it's just been, I guess, just keep racing, and it's just worked out.
You said you mentioned the Kenyan name, and
Yeah.
man, back in the late '80s, mid '90s, and all that stuff, back when Thursday Night Thunder was on ESPN, Mel Kenyon was one of the baddest midget drivers out there on pavement. Tell me a little bit about the Kenyans, and obviously that would be a great person or a group of people to get involved with if you're going to learn about that type of open wheel racing.
Yeah, of course. I mean, so Mel and Don, I wanna say they're probably about mid-90s now, and they just stopped bringing cars to the track. 2 or 3 years ago, they were still bringing 6 midgets to the track every weekend. I mean, it was I have no idea how they were still doing it. I really look up to them, but, that's why my car is number 6 with the letter T is because when I ran for Don, that was my number then, when I ran his indoor midget. So, uh, I mean, they mean a lot to me. And Mel, taught me how to drive these things, which it was like if I said I was loose, it was give it more throttle. If I said I was tight, it was give it more throttle. Even on the
Mm.
pavement. So, you know, Mel taught me basically just drive the thing as hard as you can, and you're gonna end up front. But they also taught me, when I needed to kind of tame it down. And a lot of the nights it makes more sense to run second versus, maybe tearing your stuff up for the win, and then you've got a $10,000 bill to fix your car. Whereas, if it's $1,000 difference between first and second, it's better to just run second sometimes. So they had to iron that in my head because I tore stuff up for a little while. But yeah, I mean, they taught me so much. I can't even, I guess, really describe what, that means to me too. And then being able to say that, Don had me run his indoor midget, that's really special to me. And they're just awesome. And it's so cool. Their shop is right in between both of their houses. And what Mel did with one hand running I believe it was third in the Indy 500 a handful of times with one hand. I mean, it's crazy to think that, and they did it just as brothers, with in that same shop that my midget was in at one point, and yeah, it's just really special to be able to say that I had the opportunity to race for them, and I liked the mindset that they gave me versus, I think if I would have grown up racing, like micros or something, I don't think I would have maybe made it just because of the money. And they gave me the different mindset of, I guess kind of how to make it work even now, whereas you just got to finish and you'll pretty much be able to break even or make money versus tearing stuff up sometimes. So, yeah, it's hard to really put it into words, I guess, to describe it, everything they taught me, but it really does mean a lot.
Do you think the workmanship, the type of attitude that they had, the personalities of like probably fabricating and building a lot of their own stuff was something that was cast onto you at an early age? Because it sounds like you're not just hands on with putting a motor in or putting a rear end in, you're hands on with building it, rebuilding motors, rear ends, things along those lines, which is a huge financial assistance to yourself where you don't have to pay somebody else to do it. Do you think maybe that type of personality or thoughts came from them bled onto you a little bit?
Yeah, well, I mean, that and then I mean, I've always kind of been that way to a certain extent, right? Like with that go-kart I got when I was 4, it was pretty much, like you fix it, right? So it's always just kind of been a part of what I've done, and then I really like messing around with street car stuff too, so I've always just kind of been tinkering, building engines for a street car or a go-kart or whatever, and then I think that's honestly a lot of why like Mel, Don, and I meshed so well was just I don't know, we just kinda got along, but yeah, they definitely kind of showed me that even more, that you can do it at a competitive level, right? Now, this is back when everyone kinda did it this way, or most of the people were doing it this way, where they were building their IndyCar engines, they were building the chassis, like everything, and watching Don built all of the Kenyan cars. So a Kenyan midget is a completely spec midget series, like spec shocks, spec engine, spec like everything. Wheel offsets are spec in the thing, right? But Don built every single one of those chassis up until I believe this year. Finally, someone else started building them for him. But yeah, like watching him fix cars and Mel put motors together with one hand, like it just showed me that, yeah, I guess it was just the way I, just saw it being done. So I guess maybe that's why I do it this way. I never, I guess, thought of it too much. It's just been, I guess I just kind of do it. And maybe that's just because I think I've seen them do it. Maybe that's what it is.
So with a guy used to be 6'9" and is now 6'8", tell me just a little bit about maybe some challenges that you might have compared to a standard 6 foot person or shorter getting into a non-wing sprint car. Are there any changes you have to make to the car to accommodate something like that, or is it does everything just kind of vibe normal anyway?
It's a little bit normal. I don't fit in the standard non-wing cars. Those are DRC chassis. That's what most everyone runs, but I run a triple X. I fit in a standard one, but I do run an Australian one just because it gives me a little extra clearance, right? It's either run this with the 3 inches taller in the front and two in the back, or run a standard car with a halo. And I like the idea of this better because I feel like I have a little extra crush clearance in case if I were to come into, contact with a wall and it try to crush a cage on me. So like I have a lot of cage clearance. I don't, I run my engine a little bit lower too by 5/8 of an inch because that moves our torque tube down. And I've just kind of learned what I needed, other things I need to do to the car to kind of compensate for that. um, like when I broke my back in Florida, it was with a DRC. There's nothing wrong with how they build a car. It's just their motor's up high. And I think maybe you have a little less room in the driver compartment as far as torque tube clearance. So I have to be mindful about the torque tube clearance, right? Because like when I broke my back in Florida, the torque tube hit the seat so bad it dented it up about 3 to 4 inches. And it's just that impact's got to go somewhere. It went to my back, so yeah, like, it's just kind of a part of it, but right now I have it set up to where it does hit the rear end safety bar right before, it hits my seat. So I feel pretty safe in this. If I start running other people's stuff, it might get a little challenging. But I fit in most standard sprint cars. But yeah, it probably takes me a little longer to get my seat fitted than a normal guy, I would think. But I don't know because I never really been normal size in a sprint car.
Are you more pretty much mindful of the safety things after your injury, do you think, than before? Or was it, do you think, something that just kind of happened?
Right after I was like, I also run solid steel or billet steel rear arms. And my reason for that is I think one of the other main reasons I broke my back is I had already been flipping a lot. And then the car nose down like this and then slammed down on the rear tires. But in the flip, it had ripped off all the suspension and the suspension arms, the aluminum ones that pretty much everyone else runs, they had broken right on the pinch bolt there. Um, and I was, just thinking it through. I also needed more rear weight percentage to get forward drive, right, with moving my engine down and other safety stuff. So that gave me my rear weight percentage. But then also, I'm hoping that if I go for a massive ride like that again, maybe the suspension will stay on the car. Because when you don't have the suspension on the car, the chassis just automatically smacks. If the suspension is staying on there, at least that's got a little bit of give before it actually gets to the frame rails to put that impact up your back. So yeah, like I did stuff like that initially, and I've taken a few hard hits since then. Nothing probably quite that hard. But yeah, luckily I haven't. I've been fortunate I haven't got hurt since then, and hopefully that never happens again. But I feel like I've done pretty much all I can do, and at this point, it's I don't know how to say it. I guess it's, at some point you're just going to get hurt anyways, right? I mean, we're racing cars that used to hurt a lot more people than they hurt now. Yeah, in different ways, right? But at the end of the day, it's going to be dangerous, and you just kind of have to accept that and not think about it too much, which is where I'm at now. But yeah, at first it was definitely on my mind a lot.
You said you started the year off with USAC, and
Yeah,
you said I from the vibe I kind of got there somewhere along the way here in the last 5-10 minutes was that maybe you have fallen off the USAC tour and
yeah.
you're hitting more of a pick and choose schedule now. Tell me a little bit about how you came to that decision and where you're going here in the near future and what your plans look like to finish out the year.
Yeah, so I built a new car, which isn't this one, but it's right over on the other side, and I put another guy's engine in it, and I'm really thankful that he was, giving me the opportunity, right, to run his engine. But I had kind of been counting on that to be able to hit the rest of the USAC races, and we went to Knoxville, and it just wasn't going to work out. So we cut the Knoxville trip short, and in doing that, I lost my incentive because that's a part of the USAC thing, right? Is you have to run all of their races on their race days, and so I skipped that. And then when I went home, I pulled this car out and ran one night at Harrigan, and so I lost my incentive. So losing the incentive, and then you've really got to run to get $1,000 on the night, which is pretty much my break even mark. You got to run ninth or eighth with USAC every night, and it's easier for me to go local racing and most of our races locally pay 2,500 to win, 1,000. Some are up to 1,800 for second, and then like $700 for third. Most nights I can run top three locally. I don't drive as far. We're not as hard on tires locally, not as hard on engines. So it was just it made more sense, I guess. I'm glad I got as far as I did in the season. Next year, I really want to run the complete thing, whether if that's in my own stuff or someone else's. But yeah, it just wasn't feasible anymore, right? I was pretty much out of money, and I didn't see a way for me to really mm, quickly get back where I needed to be in order to keep making money at it, especially losing the incentive because USAC really does take care of their guys. It just I did something that took me off the eligibility for it, and so at the end of the day, I had to pay for it, and that's just that, we gotta try again next year, I guess. But yeah, and that's okay. So, but yeah, so now we're doing the pick and choose thing, and let's face it, it's also way more fun, competing for a win every night versus running 10th or honestly, we were probably a 12th place car every night is pretty much where we were consistently running. So yeah, I'm having more fun now too. And I really want to get back to USAC racing to where hopefully I can try to, pick off 2 or 3 wins in a year with USAC. and just keep building on that. But for right now, this is what makes sense to run locally and it's working out. So it's what I'm going to keep doing at least for the rest of the year.
Yeah. Would you ever entertain I know the way I kind of phrased the question earlier and something that everybody's going to say, I think I phrased it. I didn't mean to phrase it the way I did, but would you ever consider driving for a bigger team if the opportunity came around? Or are you more of a kind of an independent guy that likes to be able to call your own shots? I'm willing to bet that you'd be willing to jump into somebody else's car, but
Yeah.
just curious to know that. And I want to get the word out there for you, man. If you're available and somebody needs a driver, let's get a hold of Trey Osborne.
Yeah, I've been calling on guys, honestly. I really do want to run someone else's stuff. And I also have a desire to go wing racing. It's just wing racing with my own stuff. It would be something where I'd be able to run like 20 nights a year and I would not make money, right? And
Yep.
at this point, being able to make money racing and the non-wing cars are very fun to race. And I'm not smart enough to set up a wing car every night. And I definitely would not be able to have my motor program work with a wing car. Like if I wanted to go wing racing, I'd basically sell everything and restart over. And it's just my stuff just would not stay together wing racing. But yeah, I definitely have a huge desire to go and race someone else's stuff and actually, help build a team with someone or step into something that's already there. It's just the right opportunity hasn't, I guess, presented itself yet because at the same time, this is working out well for me right now. I don't want to do it this way forever, but it's working. So, but yeah, I definitely do want to race for someone else.
How do you see yourself finishing out the year? You said you're going to Lakeside coming this weekend.
Yeah.
What's going on out that way? And tell me just a little bit about your upcoming race schedule.
Yeah. So MRA is the series name. They have a 6,000 to win, 3,000 for second, 1,200 for third show at Lakeside. And Lakeside looks like a pretty cool place. So, it's not a national race. I'm sure a couple national guys will probably show up, but, maybe we can pick their pockets and win it. But who knows? But, it pays great through the field. It's pretty much a USAC payout, but for a non-USAC show. So not all of them will be there. So, yeah, we're going to go there, try our luck. I mean, it's hard. I pretty much decide almost the night before, especially whenever it's something like this time of year where it's just constantly rain. That is the nice part about being a local racer right now is, if this place looks like rain, whereas, Indiana looks like rain this week and there's just no way we're racing. So I can go out, it's a 7-hour drive, right? But luckily IHI gives me a fuel card and a truck to use. So I'm really fortunate with that. And that allows me to, kind of travel a little more to try to find some races to, actually still be able to race this weekend and hopefully make some money. If we were to win that, that'd be pretty killer. $6,000 would go a very long way. But yeah, it's got a chance of rain too. But yeah, pretty much I don't even know what next weekend holds, honestly. I take it one week at a time. I'm definitely gonna try to run all of sprint week. We'll see how that goes. But with Matt here from Australia, I know that I have a crew guy for every night. That's normally my issue. So the plan is to run all of sprint week and then obviously SmackDown. SmackDown's my favorite race of the year. Got to hit that. But besides that, it's pretty much just pick and choose what pays the best of a weekend, because sometimes there'll be two or three, well, I mean, pretty much every weekend, there's two or three tracks running in the state of Indiana, non-wing sprint cars. And maybe one of them will decide they want to pay $500 more to win to try to get some more drivers. I'll probably go there, but they pretty much announce that the week of the race. So it's hard for me to do a schedule with a local racing just because it's kind of on a week by week basis.
When you say it's Speed Week, I think is what you said. We're talking Indiana Speed Week, right? And
Yeah, yeah.
just to be clear on that.
Yeah, yeah. Indiana Sprint Week is what I believe this year it's 8 races in 9 days, and right in the middle they've got a one night off, and I believe that's a rain date. But yeah, you're just going all the coolest tracks in Indiana, other than Montpelier. I wish Montpelier was on there, but maybe next year. We got Paragon on there, so that's cool. But yeah, I mean, it's awesome because whenever you go to a USAC race, it's normally just sprint cars and then one support class, and so the tracks stay hammered down all night, and it's a rough night on motors, but that's okay because it's a lot of fun. And, you're racing with the best guys there because you got guys from California that come out, the guys in the middle of the country that run with like the MRA series out, and I mean, at Lincoln Park, there might be 60 cars there. I mean, they had a local show earlier this year. I believe they had 62 cars at Lincoln Park for 2,000 to win. I mean, that's just the way it ends up being here if every other track cancels. And during sprint week, every track is pretty nice about, this is this track's night for sprint week. We're not going to, hop on top of that. But yeah, so you can really see where you, I guess, stack up against the whole non-wing, field as a whole. I guess it's probably similar to how the Knoxville Nationals are, maybe, where everyone kind of shows up to that, but it's a week-long thing where everyone shows up to it. So it's a lot of fun, and I never ran the whole sprint week, so yeah, I definitely want to try to do that before I really, really try to go after it next year for the whole season.
Man, you're gonna have to figure out a way to get Matt back over here next year and run that whole deal.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, Matt's a huge help. He's got a family back in Australia. He's not, keen on moving over here quite yet because that'd be a massive commitment, right? Moving across the world. But and he honestly, he spent his life savings to come over here and group for me, which I don't really get, but I'm thankful he's doing it. But yeah, I mean, he's been a massive help. So I don't know. Next year, it would take someone else basically paying him to come out here because I know I won't be able to, to afford, be able to help him or, get his help like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's awesome. And he purchased a 410 engine over here because the non-wing sprint cars in Australia have always been 200 horsepower V6s. So, kind of slow things. And they finally this year are letting guys put 410s in them. So he found a motor over here and that was his money for the rest of the 2 months over here, so I'm gonna have to help him out as much as I can, but at least he's got a motor now to go home and race with, and actually, I'm gonna let him put it in, my backup car and run a couple nights just, I mean, that's kinda the only way I can pay him, right?
Oh yeah.
Is giving him, some seat time over here, and then, he can get his engine worked out. He bought a pretty nice piece, so hopefully it'll, treat him well. And but yeah, so no, he's really been a great help, and yeah, it'd be awesome if I could have him for Sprint Week next year. We'll just, see how everything aligns with him and my schedule, I guess, and see if it's possible.
Where at in Australia is he from? Do you know?
He said the southern part. I can't remember the exact name of it,
Yeah.
but he runs heavy equipment out in the woods, and I guess he kind of like deforests an area, but then they plant it back, in order to get the wood. He says it's kind of like a 20-year period where they'll clean out an area, use that wood for, everything wood is used for, and then they'll replant it and, they'll come back to that in 20, 30 years and do it again. So yeah, that's what he does for work. But thankfully his job was able to let him off for 3 months. That's a pretty crazy thing too. So yeah, he told him he was going to do it, and they said, yeah, you'll have a job when you get back. So that's pretty awesome.
Well, where I was kind of going with that was maybe you need to go to Australia this winter and cut some laps and work for Matt, huh?
Yeah, either that or I mean, honestly, if I could race a 410 non-wing car over there, that'd be pretty killer too. So,
Yeah.
and him and I have talked about that. Maybe I come over and do that. It's just, we don't have much off season here, right? We stop
Yep.
racing in November out west, which I'm going to do this year, and then we start again early February. So, and we'll just have to see how my winter is going, right? I've got to build motors over here too, right? Since I'm doing my
Yeah.
own motor stuff, which I'd kind of like to get away from, but I don't know if it's going to be in the budget to do that. But yeah, I might have to stay back here just to,
Yeah.
finish up motors and get everything ready for Florida Speed Weeks.
As a professional race car driver, and sometimes you maybe have some free time on your hands, do you have anything else you do on the side there to make a buck here and there to keep the income coming in?
Yeah, so like I really like playing around with street cars. So I go to junkyards almost every day of the week, and I'll find like what I really like going for is the Mercedes like Sprinter vans, right? Because those are pretty huge, and I'll pull the injection pumps off of them, the the gauges, the ECM, and the ABS pump. And there's a couple other ones where I go for the ABS pumps, but basically I'll go junkyarding and then put that on eBay, and uh, I make money doing that. I'll go work at IHI every once in a while, and then just like flipping. Well, yeah, I bought a 360 sprint car engine for $3,000 that's blown up, and I got to get it apart. I pulled some pretty nasty stuff out of the pan drain. But it seems like the injection on it is worth what I paid for it. So I know I'll at least break even on it. Hopefully the heads are good and maybe the crank's salvageable where I can sell it as a complete motor when I get it back together. But I'm just always kind of buy sell trading stuff. Like I've got a 1963 Plymouth Valiant that I've had since I was 14, and after that Speed Weeks win in Florida, I had some extra money after I paid off my motor loan. And so I decided to put a V10 in it. So I bought a Dodge V10 off Facebook Marketplace for $500 and stuffed in that little car. And I've been having a lot of fun with that. And the other cool part about that is sprint car front tires fit on all four corners. So I don't have to spend any money on tires because it's pretty rough on tires. But yeah, so now I have a fun street car that doesn't cost me too much to where if we have a crappy night racing, I can kind of go out with it and have a little fun. But yeah, I'm just always kind of doing something. If I don't do something for a day, I feel like I was useless, I guess. Or yeah, I always like to be doing something, and if I can make money at it, that's cool too. Like the drivetrain I sold out of the Valiant, I think I sold it for $600. So by the time I paid for the drive shaft and stuff, I didn't make money doing that motor swap, but it didn't really cost me anything, and it gives me something to kind of toy around with. So I guess I'm always just kind of doing that, and it's always related to cars. Uh, yeah,
I got to ask about the 63 Valiant
yeah.
because if I remember right, now I might not remember right, but did that thing originally have a push button transmission in it?
No, not this one. It had a three on the tree, which I'm kind of
Okay.
missing the three on the tree, but because that was a lot of fun, and it had a slant six in it, and I drove the thing across the country twice. I drove it to all the Silver Crown races when I was driving for Malcolm Lovelace, and yeah, I mean that thing. It's been a bunch of fun. And the reason I put the Dodge V10 in it is I was thinking of either putting I've got enough like junk Mopar sprint car engines where I could probably build one as like a street car engine, but I was like, man, I'm not going to be able to like drive the thing to go get ice cream.
Yeah.
And it's kind of nice to be able to cruise around. So I was, this V10 I swapped in it. It's like 400 horsepower and like 600 foot-pounds of torque is what it's at right now. But if you want to drive it normal, you can drive it normal because it's not like it's cammed. It's not like it's, a super radical engine. It's just big and heavy, right? It's
Yeah.
just out of a 2,500 pickup truck. So when I get a full exhaust on it, I'm hoping that, I can put the hood back on it, no hood scoop, and, still be able to drive it across the country is my
Yeah.
goal. Because, yeah, I love old cars, just, no power steering, no power brakes. It's just kind of fun having, a muscle car, right? It's not a V8, so it's not truly one. But yeah, no, yeah, it's been a great car. And, I'm pretty much daily driving it right now. I don't daily drive it during the winter just because,
Yeah.
I don't want it to the body's pretty solid on it. I don't want all the salt to get on it. But, yeah, I love driving it during the summer and during the winter. Funny enough, I daily drive a Miata, which, it doesn't fit me too great,
That's
but
what I was going to say.
yeah.
Do you,
But,
do you-
well, yeah, just about. Yeah. I bought it and I didn't fit in it when I bought it. So I had to bolt the seat to the floor. And yeah, my girlfriend too, she's got an RX-7 that's pretty rowdy. It's still got a rotary in it, but it's well worked over. I don't know too much about those, but it sounds pretty cool. And then she's got a Miata that's probably the cleanest first generation Miata I've ever seen. So yeah, I guess we just like to mess around with cars. And I guess I'm just lucky enough. I also get to kind of make a living doing it. But yeah, we're always just doing something.
yeah. Well, that's super cool. And like I said, Trey, the most intriguing thing about you was the dedication and how much you put into your program to be able to do and live the dream that you're looking for. And I just wanted to share that story with everybody and maybe see if there's an opportunity. Somebody's thinking, hey, who do I call that takes care of equipment that can get the job done and would maybe, give you an opportunity. And if not, I know you're perfectly content where you're at, but I
Yeah.
just appreciate the type of racer that you are and the commitment that you have and the sacrifices you make to get to the track each and every week. And that's why I wanted to have you on.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I mean, to me, I think if I sucked, I might not do it. Right. But at the end of the day, I have fun doing all this. I enjoy building the engines. I enjoy pretty much every part of it other than washing the car. Some nights sucks, but if that's the only part I don't like about this, I think I'm doing pretty good. So I'm just thankful to be in a position to be able to do it and have great partners that help me. So, Industrial Hydraulics Incorporated and Jet Fuel Trailer Sales really have been a huge help to me this year. And yeah, so if anyone needs hydraulic work done, if it's a massive final drive, I'll probably be the one that does it. But yeah, and we take stuff in from other states all the time. So, but yeah, so no, I got to plug them because they help me a lot. But yeah, no, I guess I'm just thankful to be able to, do what I've been able to do.
All right. Well, I'm going to put this out there too and let him know that Trey is available. He's taking phone calls and he would
Okay.
willing to listen to offers if anything's out there. Open to anything that might come available too. So, Trey, I appreciate you so much for coming on. I know it took you and me about probably since Eldora
Yeah.
to finally get together between your schedule and mine. And it's kind of fun. I got to ask, are you still sporting the Hot Lap with Landman sticker or do I need to get you a couple more?
Yeah, no, it's on this car. I do need a couple though for the new car because I'm about to have a new body on the new car for probably sprint week. And yeah, so I need a couple more, but it is still on the car I've been running now. Its name is Bob. So
Okay.
yeah.
Well, we're big Bob fans here. I'll tell you that. That's for
Yeah,
sure. I
yeah.
appreciate you doing that. That was it was fun getting to know you that day, and it's just like I said, I love your story. So I'll definitely make sure I get a couple stickers headed out your way too. And thanks again for joining us, and wish you the best of luck at Lakeside this weekend and throughout the rest of the year.
Yeah, sweet. Thank you. I appreciate you having me on.
All right, we'll catch you next time.
Sounds good.
All right, everyone. So once again, that was Trey Osborne, otherwise known as Tall. Great guy, and I'm really pulling for him to have a very successful season, and maybe someday in the near future get that ride and make things a little bit easier on him. But obviously, as you could tell by listening to him, he's very content where he's at too. So just fun to talk to guys like that. We got a lot of big racing coming up here in the very very near future. Starting this weekend, actually starting Thursday, which could be today, depending on when I get this show up. But Thursday, Hartford, Michigan, with the World of Outlaws, and then they're going to go over to Wilmot Friday and Saturday night. I know Knoxville will be having their weekly show going on down there. The Outlaws out in New York tonight, World of Outlaw late models, and they're heading over to Sharon, I know for Friday night at least. And then you've got Monday in Fremont, the High Limit guys will be there. Tuesday, you can go to the Brad Doty Classic over at Attica, which is always a great show. And then 4 nights at Eldora, 2 nights with the High Limit and 2 nights with the World of Outlaw, culminating with the King's Royal on Saturday night. So plenty of stuff coming up. Make sure you get to any of those races if you can, and if not, check them out. There's a lot of great viewing options out there for everybody. I will be at Attica myself, the Brad Doty, and they'll be at Kings Royal all 4 nights, along with the Brad Doty deal with the CJB team, Donnie and Barry, Woodman and Eric, and the rest of that gang. So thanks again, everybody, for tuning in. Like I said, if you like my stuff, appreciate it if you give me a like, give me a follow, give me a share, tell your people, tell your friends. And also, if you see me at the racetrack, come up, give me a shout. I love to, like I would say, love to put faces with some of my listeners, and it's been fun. Some of you guys have reached out to me already, and it's fun when I get to go to the racetrack. So thanks again, everybody, for tuning in. We will see you next time.